Story time of how I caught my teacher and my best friend doing the dirty. So everything was fine up until the middle of the year when she started acting really strange, and so did he. So at the time, I was 13 and she was 14. And I'm pretty sure my teacher was in his mid-20s or 30s. So basically, she's the type of girl who literally hates school and would do anything to get out of class. Then I noticed her getting early to class and not leaving until everybody else left. Then I started paying a little more attention, and he would always walk by her desk and slip her notes and candy and just weird stuff, and it was really, really strange to me. He also moved to her desk right next to his, which his was all the way in the back left corner of the classroom. He would also always make jokes with her, which I didn't really understand until I found out they were sleeping together. So on Friday, my mom messaged her parents asking if they could pick me up Monday because my parents were going out of town that weekend and I hated riding the bus. Well, I'm guessing she didn't know that I was going home with her Monday. So that Monday, I got into her mom's car and I asked her mom where she was. Her mom said that she was failing math and her math teacher offered to tutor her. This teacher was also brand new. I'm running out of time, so for part 2. Here's part 2 of how I found out my best friend was sleeping with our teacher. So continuing on with the story, I told her mom that I've never seen him tutor somebody before. Plus, she told me her grades were sky high in that class. I ended up forgetting my pencil pouch, which had my keys to my house in it, so I had to go back anyways. And when I went back, the door was locked. And he had something over it or whatever, but I could see under it because he didn't cover it all the way. And she was on his desk and he was kissing her or doing weird stuff. I knew her mom wouldn't believe me if I told her what I saw, so I just told her it was an emergency and she was in trouble. So we booked it back to the classroom. And at first we didn't see them, and then she seen a foot come from beside the desk. Mind you, we're peeking under it, so we couldn't really see much. She started banging on the classroom door and screaming. I've never seen her this mad. I was honestly terrified that I ran into a separate classroom. The teacher to this day, I'm pretty sure he's still in jail, and she is still homeschooled and grounded with no phone. We found out that he was married with 4 kids. Well, was married.
This happened the other day. My door swings open at 4 in the fucking morning. My middle child's standing there like a fucking superhero that wasn't called on. I didn't turn on the fucking bat light. She's like, Daddy. I wake up, I'm like, ah! I'm like, what? And she's like, I just want you to know I killed a bug in my room. Oh, fuck, it's a bug's life. I could give a shit less. And she's like, I'm kind of worried, though. I'll bite. Why? She's like, do you think he had any friends? What if one of them saw? Should I go up there and look for him? My baby just committed murder. I'm glad she didn't dip into the Jeffrey Dahmer that's probably in her and eat the motherfucker. She's worried about witnesses and friends of the victim she just curb stomped in her fucking room. All right? Should I be concerned? Because I'm a little concerned that she's fucking taking mental notes and being like, don't say no.
Put a finger down if from as soon as you were born, your parents would force you to watch porn, specifically a man and a woman. That way, as you grew up, you would think that relationships were supposed to be between men and women. And so every time you saw a couple of the same gender, you would automatically assume that they weren't normal and had some type of mental illness. And so when you grew up and sooner or later made a friend who you got really close with and eventually became best friends with, and she came out to you and told you she was gay, you ended up dropping her. And not only that, but made a fake page and outed her, so then the whole school knew, but she still doesn't know that it was you. And so one day when your parents who gave you that mindset died in a car crash, that friend you outed and completely violated offered to let you stay with them, and her parents would take custody of you even though you weren't as close as you used to be, and you took up on that offer and started living with her, but she still doesn't know that it was you who outed her until one day you felt too bad, so you decided to tell her. I'm running out of time, so for part 2. Put a finger down, part 2, if when you finally told your friend that it was you who made that fake page and told the whole school that she was gay, she didn't get mad at you, but instead forgave you and said there's no reason to be mad since it happened in the past, and then she educated you and gave you a different perspective once you told her your parents made you watch porn that was strictly a man and a woman together, and after living with her and her family for a while, you realized that your parents had completely brainwashed you, and you felt sick to your stomach about how your mindset has been your entire life, and so you were kind of glad that your parents were dead. Okay, so there's still time, so I'm gonna play Nicki Minaj music.
Tell me why, when my mom went to Costco, she was using my dad's Costco card and had his picture on it. And we were about to pay for our stuff at the register, and the cashier goes, oh, who's that guy? And my mom goes, oh, that's my husband. And the guy goes, well, if he's not here, you can't pay for your stuff. And my mom goes, oh, yeah, he's in the bathroom. Me knowing damn well that's a lie. And the guy goes, oh, yeah, okay, we'll wait for him to come back. And my mom goes, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and go get him, okay? And I'm like confused because my dad's not with us. She goes to the bathroom and she comes back with a stranger, an Asian guy who's just a stranger. And I'm looking at her like, what the hell? And she tells the cashier, oh, this is my husband. My mom really went to the restroom, asked a stranger to pretend to be her husband, and the cashier let us pay. And she goes, well, white people can't tell because all Asians look alike to them.
So if you grew up in a Mexican household, then you have most definitely seen this painting. Either it was hung up at your house or at a relative's house. So today we're going to talk about the tragic love story and Aztec legend behind this painting, and that is the story of Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl, or Popo and Itza for short. So Itza was an Aztec princess and daughter of the emperor, and Popo was an Aztec warrior who worked for the emperor. And much to the emperor's disapproval, the two ended up falling in love. Popo decided to take it upon himself to go to the emperor and ask for Itza's hand in marriage. And actually the emperor said yes, but with a catch. He told Popo that yes, he could have Itza's hand in marriage, but if he went to a battle in Oaxaca and came back victorious. So Popo went off to battle. But the catch was that the emperor did not think that Popo would return, so in his mind he was sending him off to be killed. And just by assuming that Popo would die, he told Itza that Popo died in battle. Itza was completely devastated by this news and died of heartbreak. And much to the emperor's surprise, Popo did end up returning from battle. But his return was not victorious because he was welcomed by the tragic news of Itza's death. Popo decided to take Itza's body out of Tenochtitlan in search of the most beautiful grave for his loved one. But Popo did not make it very far because he ended up crouching next to her body and also passing away of grief. The legend says that dust covered their bodies and turned Itza into a peaceful mountain and Popo into a fiery volcano that burns in rage over the death of Itza. And the two lovers remain side by side for all of eternity. As you can see, Itza's mountain resembles her laying on her back. Popo's volcano is one of the most active volcanoes in all of Mexico. And when you visit the national park today, there's a statue outside commemorating the love of Itza and Popo.
Bitch. What?
You're dead. Why do you look so good? Death suits you.
Hey, bitch, don't hype me up like this. Hey, okay. Anyway, you know your ex that came to the funeral with that blonde chick?
Yeah, why?
Okay, they're at the cemetery. I think they're here for your birthday.
Oh my god, why?
In fact, if I know, but hey, they got married right after you died because they were like, you never know what can happen since, you died.
What? My death is the reason they decided to get married?
Yes, and guess what? I don't even want to know. They had a baby, and guess what they named the fucking baby?
They had a fucking baby? He said he never wanted to get— What'd they name the fucking thing?
Abby.
No.
Yes, bitch.
Oh my— Fuck. It's not like I'm watching over. Do they think that's what I'm doing?
I don't fucking know.
They're coming over here. Shit, hey, go stand over there, watch this. Hey, okay, love you, bestie.
Mommy, there's a girl over there. She's giving me the middle finger. What does that mean?
Today we're going to talk about the Hilton sisters. No, not these ones. These ones. 1908, Brighton, England. This is when twin sisters Violet and Daisy were born. Their mother had them out of wedlock, which was a big no-no at this time. When it was discovered that the girls were joined at the hip, their mother, Kate Skinner, she was broken. She believed their condition was a punishment for her sins. So this belief made it easier for her to sell off her daughters to her employer, a lady named Mrs. Mary Hilton. Unfortunately, Mary and her husband were not good adoptive parents. When they took in these girls, they had no intent to give them a loving and nurturing house. They could not refer to Mary and her husband as mom and dad. Rather, they were auntie and sir. Mary purchased them so she could sell them in her own way. They were an investment. Sideshow attractions were very popular at this time. And if you were what people considered to be a human oddity, you were pretty much guaranteed a place in a freak show somewhere. I do not like that term, but that's what it was called. By the time they were 3, people were lining up at pubs all around Brighton just to see them. The girls were taught to sing and dance, and if they failed to do so, Auntie and Sir would physically punish them. By 1916, they were already dragged all over Europe and Australia, and then eventually, the US. And this was all for exhibition. The Hilton parents, if you want to call them that, kept all the money that the girls made for them. By 1926, the girls were so popular that they even collaborated with Bob Hope, and they were friends with Harry Houdini. So Mary Hilton suddenly passed away.
and the girls were left in the custody of her daughter, Edith Myers, and her husband, Meyer Myers. Meyer Myers. I'm summarizing here, but it really was a Free Britney kind of situation. Edith and Meyer were worse than Mary and her husband. They opted for even more physical punishment, and they kept the girls locked away when they weren't performing. And here's the thing, they had no idea how famous they really were. But it was Houdini who kind of gave them the nicest wake-up call possible. He encouraged them to fight for their freedom and break away from their own symbolic chains. In 1931, they successfully sued Edith and Meyer, and they won the equivalent of 1.7 million US dollars, adjusted to today's inflation, whatever. But that was a fraction of what they actually earned. With their new freedom, they adopted new looks, they gave vaudeville a go, and burlesque shows. Violet met a musician named Maurice. They loved each other, but they couldn't get married. They applied for a marriage license in 21 different states, but every time they were turned down on the grounds of gross indecency, citing the twins' physical conjoinment as a form of bigamy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. In 1932, they appeared in this film. Fun fact, eventually both sisters did get married, but they married gay men. Yeah, it was a publicity stunt. But anyway, in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1961, they had their last public appearance. After their show, their manager freaking abandoned them, leaving them to their own devices. So they were forced to get jobs at a local grocery store, where they worked for 8 years. But one day they did not show up for work, cops did a welfare check, and they were lifeless in their apartment. They were victims of the 1968 flu pandemic. Daisy passed first, and Violet passed 2 to 4 days later.
As a kid, I was obsessed with serial killers. And in 4th grade, we had to do a project that was who inspires you the most. And I obviously just didn't know what that word meant and came to school and everyone was like, oh, my mom inspires me the most because she makes the best apple pie. And then they called on me and my teacher was like, okay, Jamie, who inspires you the most? And I said, Jack the Ripper. And my teacher was like, okay, why does Jack the Ripper inspire you the most? And I said, because he never got caught. Guess who never got bullied again?